Hi, today we are going to have a detailed look on our DID portal, DID and TFN portal. So, Instacall LLC has a very comprehensive DID and toll free numbers portal. We are just accessing one of our clients' portal right now. As you can see, this client has some 9 plus something dollars in balance. So we are just going to explore the menu bar here. You can see my products, routing, billing, purchase products, integrations, shopping cart support, and your account details. So when you come to this portal, the first thing you need to do is obviously you're going to purchase some DID numbers or toll free numbers. And the way you can do that, actually, you go to purchase products section and you see the submenu. You have local numbers, which in turn is the DID numbers. Then you have the toll free numbers. Then you have the international numbers, fax numbers, and port numbers. So mostly the major activities goes on the local numbers and toll free numbers. The rest of them are not very popular or used very seldom. So basically, for DID, you go to local numbers. And to purchase DID, you can do in two ways. You can either search by state or you can search by the NPA which is the prefix. So, for example, if we want to search by a state, we can go to the drop down. Here we have the states for both United States and Canada. So, for example, if we want to get the numbers of Florida, we select Florida. It will show a max of 100 entries. We do a search. And the numbers are listed here. So you can see the monthly cost, which is MRC for this DID number, the per minute cost for this DID number for inbound calls. And if you want to, if you like some or any numbers from here, you can select those numbers by clicking add to cart. You can have multiple numbers by having them in add to cart. Okay, so we have just selected 3 numbers from Florida. Now going back, we can do it in the NPA Nexus mode. Here we can define, for example, the NPA 205, do a search. So 205 NPA listed a couple of numbers here, and you can see with these you can also get these numbers. So if you are looking for area code mapping, you can get the numbers through this way. Now you can also add to cart now numbers from here. Okay, so once you are satisfied, you can go to your shopping cart. But before that, we just want to look a bit more in the toll free numbers. So if you see in the toll free numbers, it lists all the toll free numbers that are available. You can do by prefix based search. So for 800, we don't have any numbers available with 800. We have, I believe, numbers available with 833 and thus 888, so on. These numbers are not available. 866, we have some few numbers. So let's just go to all and pick one of the toll free numbers. So in this status, let's say we are done with our shopping. We go to our shopping cart. So at this moment, we see what is the amount of charges that's going to cost me to purchase these numbers. These are basically the monthly recurring cost. So what you are doing, you are actually paying for the first month here. So if you check out, these numbers will be purchased. So we are not going to purchase these numbers. So we are just going to remove the numbers from here, and that's it. So once, for example, we have purchased these numbers, we go to my products. The local numbers will list your local numbers. Okay, So this customer has already purchased a few local numbers. These are listed here, and you can select actions, what action you want to take on these numbers. For example, for each number there is a drop down menu. You can select the call flow, channel group, set voicemail, add note, set 911, call forwarding. You can have CNAM naming for this number, inbound CNAM lookups. There are many things that can be set, and all these numbers are SMS activated. So you can set SMS URL, SMS delivery notifications, email to SMS. Okay, so and this sort of stuff you can do from here for these numbers. So in general scenario, what happens, all these numbers by default goes into call flow, default named default. So what does call flow means? Call flow means how the incoming calls from to these numbers will be handled. So if you want to have multiple call flows, for example, you want to chunk these numbers for different servers, you can do that. But by default, they will be in a single call flow named call default. So how we handle this? So for that, we go to routing and we go to call flows. So if you see here, so basically in default, we have all these numbers. Okay, we have all these numbers that are basically in this call flow. So we need to take some action. So the action right now is call forward. So call forward means what? So basically call forwarding means you can put any destination number, preferred of course it should be an US number. So you have, for example, a US number. You can set that US number. For example, my US number is 323413116. So if I set this save, so all the incoming calls will be routed to my number. Now if I want to, I can record these calls. That will be extra charged for these recordings. You can take another action, which is SIP account. That means you can create a SIP account like with a SIP client like Xlite, or in a mobile phone app. You, if you have a SIP client, you can do a SIP account, create a SIP account, and for those calls to that SIP account. In general, what happens is actually what we do, we forward it to a server, and it generally is an IP. So for that, we select the SIP IP domain. Let's see if we have a SIP IP domain listed here. So we don't see any SIP IP domain listed here now. So for that, what we are going to do, we are going to create a SIP IP domain. Okay, let's just create a SIP IP domain. So we are going to put the IP address 0. And just give it a name to VG. So once you add a SIP endpoint, that means the calls will be routed to this endpoint, but you still have to know from which IP these calls will be originated and terminated to your IP. And for that, if you look at here, you can see this is your origination IP, which is 808.103.145.20. So, and again, if you want to make outbound calls through this trunk line, you can also do so using this domain sbc15.ziprr.net. Now, going back to call flows. Now, if we select SIP IP domain, we see that this, since we only have one entry, this has been in the drop down. So let's just bring up the ring time to 90 and do a save. So now eventually what will happen for all these numbers listed here, uh, the calls will be terminated to this IP listed here. Okay. And now if you want to change, for example, if you want to change the route, for example, your shift has ended and you want to receive the late hour calls in a phone number or something, you can switch to call forward and put the phone number again, and for example 323 471 3116 and save. What will happen that in the non business hours the calls will be forwarded to this number. You can take other actions, as I said, that it can be a SIP account as well. So you can do a SIP account. For that, you need to go back to routing. Here is option to create SIP accounts here. So you can create SIP accounts from here. Create a SIP account, give the account type, see whether it's a server, it's a SIP device. For example, if you have a SIP client, then name the SIP client here as SIP client, give the username, give the password, set a caller ID if required, that's the optional. Default NPA, that's optional. Then create, then SIP account will be created, and you can use that SIP account in your device. It can be a mobile device, it can be your desktop, to get those calls into your SIP client. Okay, so that is also possible. So those are the basically options how you route the calls. We're just going to fall back to IP routing for this call flow, which then we do again SIP domain and IP, do a save. Now you can also create a new call flow, as I told you, and you can have chunks of your DID numbers to that new call flow. How you do it? You go back to your local numbers, select new call flow that you have created. For example, if I want to create a new call flow, say new flow, save. Okay, we name it new flow. Okay, it's done. Now we can go to our local numbers, select call flow. Then we have, right now we have one option though. I think we need to check on that. Call flows. We have new flow here. So we have to select a flow type here, single route, hound group, ring group, load balance. We select single route. Okay. Then from here we can do the same thing. Like for example, for that flow, we did SIP domain IP forwarding. For this one, let's say we want to do call forward. Okay, so we are doing call forward for this flow, and we set, okay, now save new call flow, save. Okay, so the new flow has been saved, And let's go back to local numbers. Go back to call flows. So we have now default and new call flow. So for example, for this particular number, I want the number inbound call to be forwarded to my phone number. So what I do, I select this new flow, assign, and what will actually happen is that, for you see, these numbers call flow has changed to new flow, and these DIDs calls will be forwarded to my number. So this is another way to group your DIDs and to make different decisions on the call flows. Okay, we are going to just change it back to the default call flow. If we look at some other options we have here, channel group, you can create a channel group, but these are some advanced options. You can set voicemail here, and you can add notes. The call forwarding is basically the same thing what we did in the call flow, but it's for individual numbers. Rather than doing a call flow, you can just select the call forwarding and put the number there, and it will do the same thing. And CNAM is basically, if you want to have a caller ID name, you can purchase the CNAM from us. So the recipient of this caller will see a name as well as the number. So the other options are more related to SMS, email to SMS, and other advanced features that we have. So this portal also gives you the ability to send SMS through API. And if you can throw SMS through API like REST API, you can do it with our service. Now moving back, we go to billing. Here you can check the balance, invoices, transactions. But the most important thing is the call serial records. Uh, so we see there are like 2 inbound calls in this customers so far today. So this is important part, and there you have the integrations, and these are not that much important. The rest are self-intuitive. You can create, you have some video tutorials, some integration tutorials, and other stuff here, and rest is your account informations. So I hope this tutorial will help you a lot surfing through our portal and managing your DID and toll-free numbers. Thank you.